regarding such events, we pray in our individual ways. I don't want to deviate from that. I think we can pray in our individual ways. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Football House. I am Babukar Kamara. I am stepping in for the media officer who is out on an international assignment. Welcome, head coach, Mr. Tom Sanfe, the assistant head coach of the senior national team, Mr. Matar Ali Umboj, senior man, Mr. Alhaji Sar, who is also part of the backroom staff, and all the members of the backroom staff. They are all welcome to the boardroom of the Football House, and my colleagues from the press. Today's event, I think this is the second engagement of the coach since he took over. The first was his formal introduction to the Gambian public through the media. Today's purpose of today's gathering is for the coach to unveil his squad. Of course, it's no secret that we have a very important international football match coming into the Gambia. In fact, I think the most important, of course, in terms of the quality of the opposition for a long time, against the Desert Foxes of Algeria on Saturday, the 8th of September 2018 at 5 p.m. Independence Stadium. Like I said, the program goes like this. The coach will unveil his squad, but before he do the formal unveiling of the squad, he will discuss about the game, of course, the selection procedure that they put in place, and then he will announce the squad, after which there will be question and answers. And after the question and answer session, the coach is even ready to grant individual interviews if anyone is interested. So after this program, you can have one-to-one. He has all the time for anyone who may be interested to have an exclusive with him. So without much ado, coach, let me turn the baton to you.
Salam alaikum, welcome all. It's nice to see so many journalists be interested in our national team. Don't put it too high. Today, the second time we meet each other officially, and maybe the most important, looking forward to our first game against Algeria in 2 weeks' time on Saturday. We are here to talk about the national team, about selection, but I would like to talk first a little bit about how we come to a selection. I think it's very important in modern times where a lot of people have the ability to discuss. Is it possible, everyone, to not to have closer by? So how we come to a selection, because it's easy for guys, can we not play computer games during how we come to a selection. First of all, I have to say that we in the Gambia, we have a lot of good players. But not always on all positions, in the way that we have a lot of players for a certain position playing on a high level, but sometimes you need only one player. Give you an example, not particularly for the Gambia, you need one goalkeeper. If you have 7 top goalkeepers, you can't use them all. Same for strikers or for other positions. For other positions, we have maybe only one solution on top level, and we have to go and look for alternatives. That's the first thing in the criteria. We as national team, we are only allowed to select 18 players for the game against Algeria on the final team sheet. That means that 11 players will start and 7 on the bench. The 7 on the bench has to cover the 11 who start, because we don't know before the game which player can be injured. Sometimes you need another goalkeeper, sometimes you need another left or right wing back, a central defender, a controlling midfield player, winger, striker, number 10. So in your 7 on the bench, you have to have an alternative for every position. That's also something. The next thing is, we have to look to the availability of players. Some players are injured, some players are not playing in club level or looking for a club. Other players we have players alternatives. Do we have a certain player? Is he playing? Do we have an alternative for him? If he is not playing in his club, do we have a certain level, same level player somewhere else playing? So we have to balance that all the time. And last but not least, we are the Gambia. At this moment, we don't have yet the financial support of government and big sponsors behind us. That means that we have to be also careful with money. If I'm coaching a big club or a big country, we can invite players from all over the world to be sitting in the stands. 18 are on the list. You can invite 23 players from abroad. 5 will not play the game, will not get bonuses, will sit on the bench and fly for nothing over for 3 training sessions. Is that worth it? If you have money enough, yes. If you don't have money enough, I think it's spoiling money, spending money, what can be used in another cases. So our procedure is clear. 11 starters plus 7 people on the bench. Try to find the right players in the formation, choosing tactic to play against Algeria. Today, this can be the 18 players. Next week or next time against Togo or Benin, it can be total different players because it's a different opponent and maybe we choose a different strategy. We look at the performance of players in the current leagues. Do we have alternatives for them? And we don't want to spend money on players who won't be playing and flying in for far and maybe sit on the stands. So what we're going to announce now is 17 foreign-based players. So we will invite at this moment of time. Everything can still change because there will be maybe injuries or other reasons that we have to invite other players. But for today, these are the 17 players who are invited to come next week to start the training camp. And we will add 3 local-based players on the selection. And these 3 local-based players will be announced on Thursday when we finalize our training sessions with the local-based players. The reason we can't announce now the 3 local-based players is very clear. I'm new here. There is no local league currently, so I couldn't see the players playing in the local league. The players are needing or in need from some training, so we like to use all the training sessions possible before we make a judgment of them. And also in these local-based players, we will look which position we need, which alternative we need in our selection, and which player can make it maybe to the final squad of 18. But 17 foreign-based players and 3 local-based players will be added. The 17 foreign-based players who are invited, I give you, after the press conference on the end, I give you the list, so you have it on paper, you don't have to write it down at the moment, then you have it clear. We invite 2 goalkeepers, that's Yobe Modou and Babukar Gai, 2 foreign-based goalkeepers. We invite Omar Colley, Sampdoria, Babukar Sane, FC Midtjylland, Pamudu Jang, FC Zurich, Simon Richter, Bronzoy, Dauda Ngam, Bronzoy, Sulman Mare, currently still at Watford, maybe making a transfer the coming days, Ebu Adams, Ipswich United, Hamza Berry, Hajduk Split, Tijan Jaite, Al Markia in Qatar, Modou Barrow, Reading, Mustafa Karajol, Apollon Limassol, Lamin Jallo, Salernitana, Abla Jallo, FC Metz, Hassan Cisse, FC Lugano, and Musa Barrow, Atalanta Bergamo. That are the 17 foreign-based players who are invited. 3 local-based players will be added later on. You will see that these 20 players will be in the camp. If you come next week to the training, it could be that you see even more players who are invited to help during training. They are not part of the camp, they are not part of the selection, but if you want to play 11 against 11, it would be wise to use players in the country to assist, to help the national team, and not to ask my kit manager to play in the 11 against 11, with all respect for Mbaki, by the way. So these are the 20 of the 17 plus 3 who are invited for the team. Are there any questions, please?
Okay, I think you've all got that. No, what I mean is he's announced the list. Of course, the list is going around. As he stated, you don't need to write it. The list is there. There can be questions. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. You introduce yourself and the medium that you represent. And then after that, if you want to have, like I stated earlier, if you want to have exclusive with the coach, he will grant it. So time for question and answers.
Yes.
Coach, with regards to the list of players that you have selected, what sort of formation and tactics are you trying to employ?
It's a good question, and it's a difficult answer. Not the answer is difficult. It's difficult to answer it right now, because if I tell you what kind of tactic I'm going to play, also in Algeria they can read our media coverage. So I prefer not to answer that question right now. It is clear that knowing that the Gambia won their last qualification game 5 years ago, 7 September 2013 against Tanzania, was the last game the Gambia won in a qualification game. I know there was a ban, but still it's 5 years ago. The ban was 2 years. It's 5 years ago that we won a game. We are 172 in the world. Algeria is 66 in the world. So to answer your question, it's clear that they are the favorite, that they are having the pressure, that they have to make the game, and that we're going to do everything to get the maximum out of it in a certain strategy. But to say which formation, how many strikers, what type of football we're going to play, please respect me to not answer that, not because I don't want to give you the information, but I don't want to give my colleague in Algeria not the information.
Fair enough, thank you.
Gambia's prominent staff players invited into this.
Yeah. A good question. I expected the question because I got some background information that the question was going around the last week. I don't follow social media, but lucky enough I get informed about these things. First of all, I have to say that Boubacar Traoré, or Steve, is a very good player. He is performing well in China. Bad luck for him that twice in a row it looks that his club going to relegate, but last year he scored 17 or 18 goals. Now he's already on 9 goals. This weekend on Friday he lost 1-0, but he's doing well, and he's one of the best performers in China, and for sure also for African players, and it's fantastic for the Gambia to have a player playing there. So no doubt about his quality. But knowing that we don't need only strikers in our selection, I have to compare his performance and his quality to other players who are available. One of them or two of them are Hassan Cissé. Hassan Cissé, who is playing good at Lugano, who made the trip from Chiasso, where he was on loan last season in the second highest league of Switzerland, and now in Lugano, the Premier League. Scored already 2 goals, and I know that some of the bigger clubs in Switzerland even tried to make a transfer before the end of August to get him in. So that means that Hassan is also in form. And Moussa Barrow, it's the first time that Moussa gets invited for the senior team. The reason that I invite him is that he's playing Serie A, for me a top league in Europe, even in the world. He's playing in a good club, Atalanta Bergamo, scored 4 goals in the Europa League, 3 against FK Sarajevo and 1 in another game. He's a regular starter for his club. He scored last year even already 3 goals as an 18-year-old boy, away against Lazio and I think against Sampdoria. That are strikers to compete. Steve has good competitors. And then I don't talk about Ali Sowe, who is at the moment in Chievo returned but waiting for a loan. We have Youssef N'Jai in Boavista, who has an injury. We have Badamossi, who is a total different striker in Rabat, but a tall striker. These are all players who I can say they deserve to be selected. So in theory, I can select 6 players, if they are all fit, who are possible and leaguable, looking to their quality to play as a striker in the national team. The only problem is I don't need 6 strikers, I don't even need 3 or 4 strikers, and then I have to balance which players. I think that Hassan Cissé and Hassan Cissé proved already, first of all, in the national team his quality. He scored goals for the national team. He's in form. Moussa Barrow, he never played for the national team, but played in one of the biggest leagues in the world, and as a young boy is performing there. And then we have to look also to the financial part. Do we invite a player who comes from the other side of the world, who will have a jet lag for a few days adapting, only to arrive here 4 days before a game, maybe need 2-3 days to adapt, to sit then on the bench because he won't be the first choice competing to these guys, and maybe not playing to fly back and to invest all the money. I think it's respectless to Steve and also respectless to the federation to do that. Steve is on my list. Steve is a good player. I follow him. And maybe next time I use more strikers in the strategy. Maybe next time other players are not in shape or not performing on their club, and Steve is there. But at this moment of time, the selection is made not because we don't want Steve, we respect him and we follow him, but we think we have good alternatives who are closer by, who don't have to adapt on flights, who don't cost that much, and who have similar or maybe even better level than Steve at this moment of time. Yes.
Okay, Pa.
Thank you very much, Coach. I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate you. This is the first time meeting you.
Thank you.
Being the head coach of the Gambia. I want to ask a follow-up question. My name is Pablo. I work for West Coast Radio.
Okay.
Regarding to the Steve issue, what kind of comparison as a technician you're trying to throw here? Because when you talk about Mushafar and Season, who is playing in the ground and who is playing in the Atlantic, when you talk about goal coaching, wise, Steve is more deadly and can play a different role, different from being a striker.
Yeah.
That's the first question I have. What kind of comparison as a technician you're trying to draw between these three players? Because reading in between the lines, we are trying to compare these three players, so you have to draw one and accommodate. The second question I want to ask is that, have you talked to the government of this country or the Ghana Football Federation, your employees, this kind of government, regarding the financial aspect that we are talking about? Bringing a player all the way from China or
Okay.
The Ghana government said that they don't have enough funds to invite all the players who are playing outside the country to come and play. Or you are just saying to save your job in order the government to give you your after your 9-month contract.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me answer your first question last. Your last question first. If you were here by my presentation, what we useful, then you had heard that at the moment the government is not yet assisting financially the federation. That was said about 1 month ago. The new Minister of Sport is very cooperative, is very supportive, but can't come on the budgets what is made earlier by the former minister. He can't change in 1 day the budgets. So that's the first thing, and that was said a month ago. So if as a journalist you were there, you would have known that. That's the first answer. So I'm not trying to save my job, that's quite funny. Then the second answer, you say more deadly. I tell you one thing. Steve played 5 games for the national team and scored 0 goals. 5 games, 0 goals. That's a fact. That's not something to save my job. That's a fact, statistic fact. Hassan Cisse scored more goals and played less games. Moussa Barrow never played for the national team, but played in Atalanta Bergamo, Italy. I don't know how you rate Chinese football to compare to Italian football, but I don't know how you see your football, but okay. First of all, there are 2 people we are talking with who have some private issues to solve. And I understand and respect every player, his private situation. On the other side, we are playing for the country, for the national team. And I expect that every player who is committed to help his country, it must be an honor, a pride to play for your country. Again, I think that we come from a situation of a few years that everyone choose their games to come as a holiday to meet their friends and family here and to be in the country. That I would like to say goodbye to. If you are invited to the national team, if you are not eager to come and if you are not willing to come, you put a big line through your name for the future. A national team is an honor. You don't choose as a player when to come and when not to come. You are invited and you have to be hungry to come. There are 2 million Gambians who are looking forward to see the Scorpions playing. Every player who is invited have to dream, have to fight, have to be ready to come. If due circumstances Can happen always something, privately or other reasons. Can be an injury, can be next week still an injury by a player. Something happened, we can understand that, but it must be a valid reason why you are not here. At the moment there are 2 players where we are informed of that there could be a problem. It's not yet sure that there is a problem, but we expect the players to solve that problem and to be here next week. The players have to play next weekend still with their clubs. It's all over the world like that. If you're a coach of Argentina, Japan or Gambia, it doesn't make a difference. Players play next weekend still with their clubs. And the camp starts next week, Tuesday, the 4th of September. So on Sunday and Monday, most of the players fly in the country. And by Tuesday, everyone will be in the hotel. Tuesday, we will have 1 training session in the afternoon. Wednesday, we will have 2 training sessions. Thursday, 1, Friday, 1, and Saturday is the match. And Saturday after the game, and Sunday, the players will return to their clubs.
So in other words, you are saying 15 have confirmed their coming?
Everyone has confirmed they're coming.
And
everyone.
these 2 that you were saying?
It's not my job to talk about private situations of players. I think you have to respect that. If players have private issues, I don't think it's needed to know from my side to the media to tell that. You will see that when the players can't solve their private issues, then you will see other names in the squad on next week on training session, but I still count that all the players will be there. All the players confirmed they're coming, all the clubs confirmed that the players are coming. It's an official qualification. It's a match against Algeria. Again, I would like that we are a team who don't take match by match. I would like that we don't see it as a nice trip going home. No, we are on a mission. Being invited for your country must be a special honor, and I would like that everyone come with that passion to the country and not to come, okay, we play a game, Algeria, we fly back. No. We come now for 5 games. Algeria, Togo twice, Benin and Algeria again. And in these 5 games, we have a mission to make the Gambian people proud. If you never qualified for a tournament, if you are 5 years in a row not won any qualification game, it's time to stop talking and it's time to show something on the pitch. No excuses anymore. We have good players, but it's time that we as a national team perform on the pitch and fight for the country. It's not always about quality, it's about passion and determination. I want players to come, and if players finally, without any reason, would like to stay home, that's their choice, but then you as media will be also in the future informed about that, and we will not protect players if there are no valid reasons to stay home. I protect players if there are valid, private and serious reasons to stay home, but if players take it for granted to choose when they come or not come, then I will not protect them. I'm here to work for my country. My country is the Gambia, and I want all the Gambians to have the same intention to succeed together.
All right, what is?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to come back to the Steve issue.
You are?
Which media?
Which medium?
Like you said.
Which medium?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that is.
Like you said,
it's for the benefit of the coach, not me.
What is the medium?
The television, national television.
Okay. Thank you.
like you said, you already heard about rumors regarding Steve before this press conference, which is true. Rumors of peace commission from the squad has already been making waves around the country. Now that it has been confirmed, it will continue to make headlines. If I understood you very well, some of the reasons is you looked into the financial issues of the GFF regarding Steve's coming to the Gambia. And also, if I understood you very well, you also talked about his lack of goal scoring for the national team. 5 goals are good. Don't you think Steve is undoubtedly one of the country's finest players, playing regularly in the best leagues in Asia and scoring goals? Don't you think it would be good for you as a coach to bring this one of the best players of the country and try to get the best out of him where other coaches have failed?
Okay. Okay, I bring Steve. Who I don't select? Tell me. Because I have only a certain amount of players. I want to bring Steve. Who I don't select? Hassan Cisse? Moussa Barrow?
Yeah, well,
No.
it depends. You're the coach. That's your technical position.
See, no, but you say you are the coach, but no, you want to be the coach because you tell me just that I have to select Steve. That's what people forget. That's what people forget. In the beginning of the press conference, I told very clear that I could have selected much more players, that we have much more players for certain positions. He is not the only good player who is not on this list. There are more good players not on this list. It's a problem that we have only limited positions, and if you select one player, you can't select another player. So that's the first thing. I never said that, because you turn things around. The financial thing was the last criteria not to select him. That he never scored for the national team was one of the last criteria not to select him. The reason that Steve is not here has nothing to do with Steve, has to do that Hassan Cissé and Moussa Barrow are performing very good. If you deny to me that they perform good, that's your opinion, then you have to say, okay, Moussa Barrow doesn't have to come or Hassan Cissé doesn't have to come. If you think that's your opinion, you're allowed to have a different opinion. I don't fight to you about opinions. Everyone is allowed to have a different opinion. But you have to understand that I cannot invite every good player. If I'm tomorrow, or if a coach of Belgium cannot invite every national team player because we have also, they had only 23, or a coach of France, they have more choice even than me. So every journalist and every person has his favorite player. Fully understand. Steve is a good player. Otherwise you don't play in China. Steve is performing in China. He's scoring goals. I don't doubt it. I never said he's not good. I never said he's not in form. I never said he's not performing. I never said he doesn't play in a good league. I all agree with you that he is good. But I told you that I need alternatives for every position. I cannot have 3-4 strikers on my team, because then I don't have a left back or a right back or a midfield player, and then we get an injury, and then you tell coach, how can you select 3-4 strikers, and now you can't change during the game this player. You as a coach, you have to prepare yourself for every position. So that's my job. I have to think not about one player, and now it's nice in the media to talk about one. Let me say, very honest, it's respectless to talk about one player, because it shows that all the other players are not important. We talk about one player who played 5 games for the national team, and the Mamadou Jangs who scored yesterday, who play in FC Zurich, in a top club in Switzerland, we don't talk about. The Omar Collis who play in Sampdoria, we don't talk about. The Karajols, the Modou Barrows, we don't talk about. We talk about one player. Why is that? We have a lot of good players.
Campo, there is a moderator, please.
Coach, with all due respect, I picked on differ by saying talking about one player is disrespectful. Football comes with this controversy when it comes to selections. You understand? You just from the World Cup, we have seen players that we are omitted, and it made headlines in international media. That is the game. And Steve being omitted will certainly make headlines, and people talk about it, and I don't think it's disrespectful. You said Moussa Barrow and Hassan are playing good. Are they playing better than Steve?
How can you compare leagues?
Okay, comparing leagues also. When it comes to comparing leagues also,
When did you see the last game of Steve? Answer Michael. When did you see China League?
Allow me to learn. Just allow me to learn. Sometimes it's not about leagues as well. We have seen players playing in top leagues, but you know they have been overshadowed by other players that are playing in lesser leagues, and they are doing very well for their countries.
Yes.
So probably,
okay, and then I come to you, fully agree with you. It's not about the league you play. It's sometimes in other countries I selected players who are amateur player ahead of a professional player because the players deliver for the national team. Did Steve till now deliver for the national team? Did he score goals? What he is doing in his club? And maybe it's because of the system, maybe it's because of the coach. But based on facts and not on emotions. I don't know Steve. I don't judge about Steve. You are all pushing me to invite Steve. You are all pushing me to invite Steve. Emotionally, you're pushing him. Because pure on facts, you say you don't know the Chinese league. I don't know much about the Chinese league either, to be honest. We follow more the European league than the Asian league. But pure on facts, I have to say that he is performing very well, but we have other players who perform well. You say then, okay, maybe Chinese league is less high, but judge him on his performance on the national team. When I judge to the national team, then I have to say he played 5 games and he didn't score yet. That's pure objective. That's not an emotional thing, that's pure effect. And maybe when he comes for me, he scored 5 goals against Algeria. Maybe, inshallah.
No, wait, Modest, please. Please, allow me, let me just interject. No, I am the moderator. No, I am moderating. I will allow you to talk. Just, my friend, wait, let me interject here. As the moderator here, look, I think this issue of Steve, out of respect for other players, is enough. I'm not going to entertain any more questions from Steve because listen, my brother. No, listen. Wait, it's a question and answer. It's a question and answer issue now. It's not about suggestions now. Yeah, I have to step in now, and I'm putting my foot down here. Now, this issue there is nothing complicated here. I think we are just not. We are refusing to understand this issue, but I think the coach has dealt with this issue very, very well, and I think this is affecting our country. I did define ourselves with groups and individuals. It is affecting us. And then you have to look at many factors in place all the time. No, hey, my brother, listen.
Okay, guys.
Listen. Why? No. The point is the coach is not going to. He's not going to answer any question about Steve. No question about Steve. Yeah, but no. Nobody's talking about camp. We are talking about it. No, listen. But the coach said the fact. No. The coach has said the fact. I think it is for you.
I don't even talk to any of these players. I'm not a friend of any of these Gambian players. You understand? But we are here to get the fact. You know that we are here to understand. You understand?
But the coach has given you the facts.
To push the coach. We are not here to push the coach.
Okay, guys, listen. Okay, guys, listen. Okay.
Because you know what is going around social media.
Okay.
You know what is going around. So if you
But the coach has given you the facts, my brother.
we still have one more fact.
Okay.
It's not about arguing.
Okay, listen. I think sorry guys. Okay, sorry. I think I answered very clear how we selected players. I even answered 2 different journalists about Steve. I even tell you how he performs in his club, how he scores. I have all the respect. I explained to you that I selected 2 strikers and not 3. I selected him very clear. Explained to you very clear why I choose this. You can take things out of context and say it's a financial and this. No, it's about Moussa Barrow and Hassan Cisse more than about the other players. And if you, as journalists, want to be part of success, then it's also very important that you are part of success. I have the feeling that, don't forget that none of you ever qualified for a tournament. With or without Steve, the Gambia was never there. Guinea-Bissau, Botswana, Namibia, all the countries in Africa almost were there. So it's time that we stop talking about individuals and looking to a team performance, and that we also as media, because you have a huge influence on the fans in the stadium. You are the people who ventilate the emotions to the public. We have to stand behind our team, behind the 18 players, or if it's all 18 players from Hawks, from Real de Banjul, or 18 players from Atalanta, Bergamo, or Zhejiang, or I don't know which team, it doesn't matter. It are Gambians who are ready to play and ready to die for their team. And that must be the impression. It can't be that we use personal feelings, emotions, personal contacts, personal favoritism as something to destroy our country's national team. I'm here to succeed. Today it's with Hassan Cisse and Moussa Barrow. Maybe next time it's with Steve. But to focus only on one player, I think we have so many good players. And we miss even so many good players. And I think we have to look to all the team and all the players and also talk to the public. Because social media, 20 years ago, there was no social media. Let me be very honest. Every fool can write something on social media. I can write about anything in the world on social media. I can write about Donald Trump or the president of Korea without knowing anything. I can write anything on social media. You don't have to have knowledge of facts. You don't have to have any base of intelligence to write anything on social media. I don't know, I don't follow social media, but if we're gonna base ourselves as coaches and you as journalists, your opinions, because someone writes something on social media, I think it's very low quality coaching and low quality journalism. Let's be smart enough and work together, you and me, as one team, as us, as one team, to get quality. And you are not social media journalists, you are real journalists. Put yourself above social media. Because again, if I write tomorrow something about the mother, of the aunt, of the sister, of the grandmother, of the prince of I don't know which country, and everyone starts copying it, does it mean it's true? No. And the same happens. Someone writes something, someone starts copying it, everyone is talking about it, and now it's a topic. We have more than one player, we have more than 20 players, we have a lot of good players. And I have huge respect for Steve. He's performing well in a decent league, but he's not the only player we have. And we have more players on the similar position who are performing well, in my opinion, also good leagues. Okay, next question.
No, Kambo, after you, Moduba, yeah?
Yeah.
You said that you select players based on performance, playing higher leagues. But I've seen Abdoulaye Diallo playing for Metz, although playing is a top 5 in the second division. But he perfectly.
Okay.
So why evaluate? And also, no match, 0 match.
Yeah, I know.
And after Ibu Adams, playing Conference League.
Yeah. Okay. I think you didn't listen to everything. I said in the beginning that I select players for a certain position and look if there are alternatives who are playing in a better league. For some positions, we have a lot of choices, and I even mentioned 6 strikers who are playing on good level. And I said for certain positions, we don't have much alternatives. That means that, because now you mentioned 2 names, but why you don't mention Suleiman? Why you don't mention Suleiman? Suleiman is not playing. So in theory, you have to tell me why, coach, why you select Suleiman. So let me be very clear. So the reason the reason, yeah, but I'm talking. May I talk? May I talk? May I talk? If you ask, then I can answer, okay? So the reason we select players is we have a formation. If it's 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 5-2-3, I don't know. I know it. We have a formation where we know exactly which player we want, what type of player we want, of which position, first of all. So we are looking for players who fit in that position. So if that player in the 5th division fits better in that position than a player who played totally different position. You want to put a goalkeeper as a striker because he plays. Or you want to put a striker as a defender because he plays. It doesn't work like that. Ibu Adams is there because on his position, on that type, in that formation, we don't have a similar type who play on a higher level. Abdoulaye Diallo is there because I want a certain amount of players on that position because I calculate during the second half, these positions, these players, according to my demand, will be tired. After 60, 70 minutes, I have to change that and that player, and I need an alternative for that position. Is that alternative playing or sitting on the bench in Metz, or where is another alternative? If you tell me the same position, the same quality of player, not a player who can play as a right back, but also as a striker and also as a winger. A specific quality of a player we are looking for. So we know the system, we know what we're going to do during the game. It's 0-0, what we going to do? It's 1-0 for Algeria, what we going to do? It's 1-0 for us, what we going to do? All these situations we plan in advance, and for that we select players who can help us in our system. That means that there are better players, but they don't play on the same system. There are players who play week in, week out, but they don't play on the same system. So how can I select a player who play a total different system only based because he play every week?
Yeah, I understand you are the coach and you are the board and you have to protect. But don't you think that it will affect you? Because in Europe, if players don't have to play in time, you are not in your national team.
Sure, it affects. Sure, it affects.
It can affect you because these people, they are not playing time.
Yeah, but do you would leave Souleymane Mare out and put because you think in Watford the training level is not too high. You think Watford trains the same level as Generation Foot in Senegal, and you would invite a striker to put Okay, so but then I come to something else. Then may I say something? If I guys, try to listen because otherwise I get the question again. If I have to select my players because of playing time or not, I never can select a team. Because I have no control over the coach in a club. A club can play a different system and cannot need a player in a certain position. So I select players who fit in our system and in our formation. And you can be a good player and not playing in your club because your coach play a different system. And in Souleymane Mare, he's making maybe a transfer. So only based on that, if I had an alternative on Souleymane Mare's position, who was playing on high level, on the same position, it was a clear answer. But I don't have an alternative for him.
All right, Modu.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you approach a team in Algeria with some quite
Yeah, Algeria is a team. We saw as coaching staff about 4 games, full games about them, and even more games in clips. They underperformed the last qualification. That's also the reason that Rabah Madjer was changed by Jamal Belmadi. On the other side, if you look to their players, Brahimi, Mahrez, Soudani, Slimani, Bentaleb, Ghulam, Ghezal, all Mboli, the goalkeeper who returns, they have a fantastic team. They have high-level players who all play in Europe on a high level, and even the ones who don't play in Europe, they play in their own league. What is a high league? Who play Champions League group stages, who play Confederation Cup group stages, and their main striker, he plays in Qatar and scored 10 goals after 3 games in Qatar. 10 goals after 3 games in Qatar, that's their striker. So they have a top team. They have a very good team. They have a new coach who is under pressure because they demand results. But I respect them a lot. They will be the favorite in our game. But we are here not to let us lose the game. We are going to make it very difficult for them. And we try to make a strategic plan to surprise them. But I have huge respect and I think they are a very strong team. Yes?
Yes, good. You did mention that you are here to succeed. And looking at the Gambia, of course, on record, the Gambia is still struggling to make a major competition appearance. And likewise, looking back at your coaching career, you're yet to push a team to deliver a Cup of Nations appearance as well. So, expanding on that, how exactly do you now intend succeeding with the Gambia?
I think we need, first of all, a team who is motivated to play for the country. Without mentioning names, I get information that a lot of players in the past came to the Gambia to meet up with their friends, but not particularly for the national team. It's nice to be invited for the national team because once in a while you can visit your family and friends and say hi to people you didn't see for a long period. I think that's the wrong motivation. I want a team on the pitch who is ready to fight for the country. You can fight and lose, but you have to battle. And I believe in this group, every team can win from each other, but every team can lose from each other. We can win against Algeria, we can win against Togo and Benin, but we can lose also every game. But the same counts for Algeria, and the same counts for Benin, and the same counts for Togo. We are all very equal. The only difference is that the other three countries have an experience of qualification, 2 for a World Cup, 3 for AFCON, and we never. I think that we have to aim to get as far as possible with our players, that in their mind comes that we don't come to play a game, but that we come here to write history. We have to do everything. And I don't say we're going to write history. You need luck, you need opponents, you need a goal, a penalty, a decision, but we have to come here to do battle and to do everything to succeed. I don't accept people to come here only to say, oh, it's nice to visit my family, a holiday trip. That's very important. The character, the motivation, the attitude of players will decide. It's not always the quality, because if the quality will decide, Gambia was already on several African Nation Cups. There are less quality countries, Guinea-Bissau, Botswana, Mozambique, Namibia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, they had never as much quality as the Gambia has. Never. If we talk about Liberia, I think everyone knows 2 or 3 players of Liberia who succeeded abroad, but they were on the AFCON. If you talk about Sierra Leone, we know 2 or 3, but they were on the AFCON. If you talk about Namibia, I don't think any one of you know any player of Namibia who played abroad. They were twice on the AFCON. If I ask you Botswana, they have never a player abroad. They were at the AFCON. So we have the quality to succeed. Why we failed? I don't know. But the first thing I hammer on is the attitude. You have quality. If you have the right attitude and you have quality, you're already far. If we find then the right strategy, then I think we are very close to get good results. But I'm here not on holiday. I don't want anyone in my staff to be on holiday, and I don't want any one of the invited players to be on holiday. We're going to do everything, and hopefully for a full crowd, for 25,000-30,000 people, to make it a brilliant game, and hopefully we can celebrate after the match. That's the intention. I don't know if we're going to succeed in that, but that I want. I want in our mindset that we believe in our quality, not arrogant, but with determination that we're going to fight for it. And that I want for my players. And maybe I invited now players who will disappoint me afterwards. And then in the next qualification game, you will see different names. And maybe I make now wrong decisions. The judgment will be done after the Algeria match. But then we can invite other players. But on our belief, with the information we have, we think that this team, in the formation, in the strategy we want to play, could be the right team to get a decent result against Algeria.
Okay, I think we allow 2 more questions, then we terminate this session. If you want, you can do exclusive interviews. You see, it's very hot. I think it's very unbearable. Sorry, okay?
First, thank you very much, Coach. I'm Sarah from Paradise TV. You repeatedly mentioned countries that have qualified Afghan, but you said Gambia haven't qualified. And you also said maybe the players that you invite might disappoint you. It's like it's not certain whether you're going to make it, whether the Gambia is going to qualify as Afghan.
If it would be 100% sure, that would be perfect. But in football, it's not sure. Algeria doesn't know that they're going to qualify. Togo doesn't know. No one. One country knows that they qualify, Cameroon, if they don't lose the organization. So how can I say it's certain that we're going to qualify? Based on what? I'm not a magician. I'm not David Copperfield. I'm a football coach. We are going to work to qualify, and we're going to do everything. A friend, maybe your best friend, disappoint you. Did you believe that he's going to disappoint you? No, you trust him. So I believe my players, they don't disappoint me. But I can't say it. I never met them. I never worked with them. So give me the chance to work with them and make a free judgment. It would be unfair to make a judgment about attitude of players if I never worked with them. So I even don't make a judgment about attitude of players who are not invited. That's the reason I never mention the question attitude of players who are not invited. Because I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And if you work with me and you do everything for it, we have a long-term work relationship, and otherwise I have to search an alternative. And I can't give you the guarantee to qualify, because that would be very dangerous if I knew that, or I'm in corruption and do match fixing, that I already arranged every match, then I have to go to jail, or I would have voodoo practices and anything. No, I'm a football coach, I'm a human being who's going to work hard together with my staff and my players, and we're going to do everything together with you journalists and with the fans to do everything to qualify. And inshallah we qualify.
Before you said that, you mentioned that this is the time for the government to qualify. It's like you were kind of that Brazil will win. You said your players might disappoint.
That I believe, yes. Why is this the time? First of all, this is the first time in history that 2 instead of 1 team qualify in the group. What makes it easier? You don't have to win the group. You can be second. And the second thing is, we have a lot of quality players. Look to our group. I don't know in 5 years' time that all these players still playing. 10 years ago you had a few players abroad. Now you have 20, 25, 30 players abroad. So that's the reason that I say this is the time. Maybe in 5 years' time we have players playing in Barcelona and Real Madrid. And then if I'm coach or someone else is coach, they say this is the time. But for me, this is the time.
Final question?
My question
You are?
I don't know whether you are aware that Mom has been injured since the first game of Broncho in the Minister competition. And he has been out for 4 games, he has not played since. So I don't know the reason behind this selection.
We are in contact with him, and we will see. But again, now we come on the position that we say we have a problem that we don't have much defenders playing on high level. Yes. There's a third highest league. Okay. Tell me which player abroad can play as a right wing back abroad.
We have Keba Cisse.
Okay, good question. Keba Cisse, I spoke. I can give you his telephone number. I can give you the messages. 3 weeks ago, I called Keba Cisse. I asked Keba Cisse if he is willing to return. For your knowledge, 2 years ago, Keba Cisse announced retirement of national team. I called him and I asked him, please Keba, return for your country, do this for me, do this for your nation. He said, coach, I can't decide about that, give me a few days. The week later, on Monday, he called me back and he said, I will not return, my priority is in my club, my contract ends with Dalkurd, I will not return for the national team. So, who else is there available to be selected? I asked him, and I can show you the messages. You can ask him. I called him 3 weeks ago, I think even 4 weeks ago. That was one of the first things I did. Because he plays in the Premier League of Sweden, Allsvenska, with Dalkurd. Every week he plays there. So for me, he would be a very experienced, high-level quality player. But there are things I can't cope with. So now we are training local-based players. Hopefully we can have alternatives there, but we have a problem that the league is off since May till November. So the match fitness is not high. So we have only Simon Richter. And that's what I said in the beginning. We have very good players and a lot of good players for one position, but for some positions we don't have much alternatives. So as long as possible, we leave Dauda and Gum on that list. And if he can't make it, we have to look in our local-based camp, because we can't. And the local-based player we can call up tomorrow. But a foreign-based player, if you find a right defender abroad who has the passport to play to Gambia, tell it me. Welcome, we are one team there. But at the moment, we don't have an alternative, except of Simon Richter.
And then my second question is, considering the fact that the Gambia has never qualified for a major tournament, what was the motivating factor that led you to take up this responsibility as the head coach of the national team? And what are your aspirations?
First of all, the real reason I'm here is because I believe that the Gambia, that the players we mentioned and the players we discussed who are not invited, all of them, that we have a group of 30 players who can make it to qualify. I don't say we're going to qualify, but as a coach, as a sportsman, I start every game with the intention to win. And I was talking with some other countries. And another country, we're talking about a 2-year contract. And financially even better deal than here. But it's a country who will never qualify because they don't have the potential to qualify. And they are in a group where it's almost impossible to qualify. So the reason I'm here is I believe in the Gambia, in the players, in this football country, that it must be possible to qualify. So that's my ambition. But we said also by my appointment, we don't say we're going to qualify because it would be unrealistic to make that as goal. We're going to take it match by match, being competitive, and on the end we will see if it's enough. But to be honest, I believe that my players, our players, have it in them to qualify. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you everyone for coming.